The ruby-throated hummingbirds looking forward to that as well. They've returned to Prince Edward Island. Birders across the island reported their first sightings over the weekend. Many bird enthusiasts knew the hummingbirds were getting close because they watched their movements online. There are several websites that track the movement of the small but mighty birds from the time they leave their winter home in Costa Rica to the time they arrive here on P.E.I. Now, in just a few moments, we'll hear from Elizabeth Howard on Skype. She's the director of Journey North. It's a group that tracks the northern migration of several species of birds. But first, Island Morning's Nancy Russell caught up with a local birder who uses the migration maps to follow the hummingbirds.
Hi, I'm Ron Arvidsson, one of the admins for birding on P.E.I. First hummingbird I saw was a couple days ago. I had my feeder out. We were on the lookout for them because I watch some of the other websites like Journey North and that sort of thing, and they keep a record of where the sightings have been reported.
When the first hummingbird was sighted on P.E.I., there was a flurry of posts on your Facebook page. Tell me about that.
It was 2 or 3 days ago. We just saw one post, and then a whole bunch of people were posting. So there must have been an influx. It was kind of warm weather and maybe some southerly breezes, and that assisted them along. And then when one person saw them, they started showing up different places across the island. And it was great to see all the photographs.
You had a great photo of a hummingbird that has been now shared across North America. Tell me about taking that photo.
Been watching for him, like I say, for the last couple of days, and he happened to show up, and so happened to get lucky that time.
And you say he because it's the males that arrive first?
Right. Although somebody posted a picture the other day and they had a male and the female pretty much the same day, but the male's the only one I've seen around, and generally it's the males that you see first, kind of establishing territories and that sort of thing.
Why do you think people are so excited about the arrival of hummingbirds?
It's a matter of how they fly, and as the season progresses, you start getting little territorial battles and that sort of thing. So it's like an aerial warfare going on in your backyard after a few of them, especially after the young have hatched, how they fly, and they can fly backwards. And I went into one person's yard, and it was kind of like wear a hard hat because they were flying all over the yard.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Howard, and I'm the director of the Journey North program, and we follow Spring's Journey North online by following different migrations, including the ruby-throated hummingbird, monarch butterfly, robins, and all sorts of other signs of spring.
And tell me about what you've been observing with hummingbirds this year.
Well, hummingbird migration is interesting because it seems almost regardless of the weather, they migrate remarkably similar timing from year to year. And this year, their migration is moving right along. They had a huge surge northward last week. And actually, the first sighting from Prince Edward Island was just on Sunday. And a week earlier, they were maybe as far south as Boston.
How do citizen scientists help you with the science that you're trying to do?
Well, you can just imagine the technology has made studying a migration, it's really revolutionized the ability to know where hummingbirds are when. You have all these observers spread across the entire migration route, and of course they can report in whenever they see what they see. So it's made it revolutionary because people can share their observations so quickly.
What do we know about where the hummingbirds from P.E.I., how they spend their winters?
Well, the majority of ruby-throated hummingbirds, which incidentally is the only species you'll see there, come all the way up from Costa Rica. So that's a good 3,000 miles. They migrate up the coast to the Yucatan. They cross the Gulf of Mexico, which in and of itself is about 600 miles. And then from the Gulf up to you, it's almost another 2,000 miles. So all told, it's 3,000 miles.
You mentioned that the technology has revolutionized being able to track hummingbirds. How much more do we know now than we did before these web sighting programs?
Just the volume of people makes it possible to notice, for example, that they seem to arrive in the same place within days of one another, so that you and your neighbors will see their first hummingbird right about the same time. So that's something we've learned. We certainly do see the effect of weather. We see how they respond to wind or lack of wind. storms or lack of storms, a tailwind, they'll come more quickly.
I guess people would be surprised with the winter that we've had that the hummingbirds are arriving as early as they are.
Well, one of the interesting things about hummingbirds is they're what's considered a long-distance migrant. And since they spend the winter way down in Costa Rica, they really have no way of knowing what kind of winter you're having up on P.E.I. Their migration is timed by day length, and as the days get longer, they're cued into that. They do not migrate in response to the kind of winter you had, but much more the weekly changes in weather.
Over the course of the winter, we had reports of sea ducks and other bird species that were in trouble because of the kind of winter that we had. Is there any concern for hummingbirds being here so early? Because we do still have some snow on the ground here.
They can survive some cold spells. At night, they can go into a state called torpor, where they drop their body temperature down and their metabolism drops substantially. So they can weather out cold weather, but not for a terribly long time. So if they are unusually early, those early birds could be affected negatively by your cold. And with feeders, that really helps a lot because they can replenish their supplies, very, very easily at a feeder.
What would you say to Prince Edward Islanders who are listening and are fans of birding? How can they help you?
Well, reporting their observations is the number one thing that we keep track of. And once people get into citizen science, they can collect all kinds of data with our program and others to notice when the first males arrive, followed by that, the first females about a week later. And they can also keep track of the volume of food that the hummingbirds consume during the course of the summer.
Thank you very much for your time and your information.
All right. Well, we hope to hear people reporting in from your region. So thank you.
That was Elizabeth Howard. She's the director of Journey North. Earlier, we heard from Ron Arvidsson from the Birding on PEI Facebook group. Nancy Russell's put together a short video featuring some of the first hummingbird photos of 2015. And you can see that on our Facebook page at CBC Prince Edward Island. And just got a note from Kathy Steen, sent us an email from Little Pond saying, just had my first hummingbird at the feeder, a cold, tired little male, writes Kathy.